always like to start on time when people are registered for these events. Again, I don't know where everybody is. This is the problem with webinars. So I thank you very much to show up on time prior, log in and get ready. And honestly, please, for such a small group, just unmute yourselves. If you're shy, that's okay. You can ask in the chat and Ray and I will monitor it as well. And I'm happy that you're here today. Okay. So Ray, you started the recording.
Yes, correct.
Okay, awesome. And then we'll send you the replay for sure, you guys. Okay, as soon as we're done here, I believe that that will be done through Zoom again, automatic. Again, they've changed their system, so I'm not sure how everything works anymore. Okay, let's get started. Hold on, I got to get my little notes here to talk to you guys about stuff. And I'm going to just turn off my, yeah, thanks, James. In and out, no problem. I'm going to turn off my video so I can concentrate on the presentation. And again, ask as many questions as you want. Please, please, please do. Okay. All right, let's get started. I'm gonna turn my video off and we will get this started. Okay. So, um, we are going to talk about today database mastery. Again, interrupt me anytime you want. 4 steps to kind of understand how chaos to control happens, mastering your database, and conquering disorganization. Now, we started doing this probably about 3 or 4 months ago, this QR code where you can ask questions now or after. It's all AI based, which is super interesting. We feed it information and you should just be able to ask questions. It's 90% good, so we're still tweaking some of the questions, but feel free if you want to do the QR code here. You'll get a text message that you just have to say yes to. It looks kind of like this, and then you'll get real-time answers. It sometimes takes a few minutes to start, but if you want to use that, great. Of course, while we're here, you can use the chat feature in Zoom, or you can unmute yourself and talk to me. I'm totally happy with however you want to ask questions, okay? All right, so imagine a world where your business could look like this, where it's streamlined, efficient, and synchronized. Everything is integrated so perfectly that no matter where you update anything, it updates everywhere, including the CRM. So no more scattered digital stuff. When it's done properly, you're building an actual asset. So if you ever want to slow down, that's a joke, right? I know my husband's a realtor, or retire someday, that you can easily hand off a complete organized database and keep collecting referral checks. So, what we want to talk about is how to get your systems all working in harmony instead of fighting each other. Now, I always kind of like to switch things up because I've talked about the same thing for almost 2 decades. And I thought I'm going to try and make it a little bit more understandable for people. Is that if you talk about if you had houses, okay, let's pretend you had 5 houses. And this is really an analogy for how most agents' businesses are set up. Just like Ray, you're monitoring the chat, right?
Yes.
Just let me know if, okay, thank you. Okay. If there's, you've got 5 homes, and what happens is that in every home, you have a physical address book. And then also in every home, you have a physical file cabinet. And then in every home, you have a actual physical calendar on the wall. So how on earth would you ever know where anything is, right? So you're trying to find an appointment. You need to search through 5 different physical homes to find that calendar that you wrote on. Or you write on one calendar and then you have to go to each other 5 homes to write that same thing on the calendar. If you're looking for a client's address, you need to go through 5 different homes and rummage through the address book unless you copy that, and then you're duplicating data into 5 different spots, right? Or if you're trying to get an important document, which file cabinet did you put it in? You wouldn't duplicate that, but which file cabinet would you put it in? So this is what happens when your workflow, the way your business is set up, is kind of scattered across different systems, which are kind of like homes. It's not efficient. It is so incredibly time consuming, and it creates unnecessary stress. And what we find then is all you're doing is running around trying to find that thing that you're missing, right? So, what I always like to talk about is how and why things are like that. So, how many email addresses do you have? If you want to put it in the chat, that's awesome. Like actual email addresses, whether it is personal or business. And I'll tell you what the average we see in the couple decades I've been working with agents, it's 5. But I've seen as many as 27. And I'm going to explain why this is a problem later. The more email addresses you have, the more problems that you're going to have. Okay. So that hopefully that makes sense with everybody, right? 3, perfect, Jen, brave, letting me know. That's awesome. I don't know if James might not be in. Oh, we got more people now. Awesome. So you guys found it. That's excellent. I was telling other people that feel free to unmute yourself and ask because it's a small group today. We will send you the replay after as well. But if you're shy or you just want to chat instead, I'm happy about that as well. Okay. So it's, I love, love, love questions. So please, in any time I'm talking with agents, whether I'm working with them in our group, our program, or it's like this, please take advantage. No question is ever, ever, ever stupid. Never. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at these are also anonymous. You can take a QR code or you can just go to slido.com and put that number in. What email address is your business email address? Okay. Now, again, it's anonymous. I don't know who's filling out what, but if you could just do that, and then we can see, again, it's a small group, so I know what the numbers usually are. But there are options. And what we see is people use the brokerage email. They might have a Gmail email. They might have um, Shaw, TELUS, some internet service provider, depending on where everybody lives, whatever your internet service provider is. You might have your name at yourdomain.com. You might have Yahoo, iCloud, Live, or you might have 5 different ones, right? This is really, and you guys are not participating, but that's okay. What I see is that people have Gmail, Yahoo, all the other ones, or they may have a domain email, but it's not set up properly. And that impacts how things sync and integrate in the end, okay? So this is literally what I see in the real world is that instead of 5 places, there's usually way more where your stuff is. Okay, so let me talk about why you're having these problems. And again, I will tell you how it's fixable, but I want you to understand the issues first. Okay, so we've got here homes, 5 homes, but that's 5 email addresses. So if you've got 5 email addresses, the same scenario applies what I just talked about. You've got a contact, an address book in each one. You've got a calendar or calendars in each one. You've got files and folders attached to each email address. Okay? You see how that's confusing? Then we've got a phone. You may have a phone that the address book is just sits locally, the calendars sit locally, the files and folders just sit locally. So Apple's a good example of that, is everything sitting in Apple's iCloud as well as all these other emails that you've got. You also have a computer. How and where are your things there? Are files, contacts, calendars all sit on that one home computer? Then you might have an office computer or another laptop. How is everything configured to talk there? Are the contacts just sitting by themselves there? Is the calendar sits by themselves there? Are files and folders just on that one computer, but you can't find them elsewhere? Okay. And then we've got a CRM, and I'll talk more about this later, but a CRM also can hold your data in there. It might have its own address book, its own calendar, and its own files and folders. And then usually the last kind of spot we see people saving things is in a spreadsheet. Does this make sense? So in this scenario, which is really typical of somebody, is 10 places where things are saved. Does that make sense? So you imagine the chaos is like I was opened up the email on my phone and I added a contact, but now I go to my computer and it's not there. because they're all kind of standalone, separate places like those homes. Does that make sense, you guys? Feel free to say in the chat, yes, I get it. It sounds like you, or does it sound like you? Do you have this problem? This is really, really typical of what I see. And there are sometimes even more places that things can be. Okay. So if your data is scattered across digital homes, that's a problem. That is system problem. And again, you might have a client's info on your phone, but nowhere else. And it's frustrating as heck, right? Okay. And then we also see crucial emails buried somewhere in that email of 10,000, 20,000 emails. But which email did you send it from? Because you don't know your configuration of where you were when you sent it. Now you've got to spend time looking at the sent items and emails. Does that sound like anybody? We see it all the time. Okay. You may have saved $1 million client's name somewhere, and now you've got to try and what's his name? Where did I send it? Which email? Which folder? Which note application? Where is your stuff? And you're exhausted. And we see this that the opportunities and revenue just constantly keep slipping through the cracks because of systems. And you're basically running a digital episode of Where's Waldo, except Waldo in this case might be worth $100,000 and you needed to find him yesterday. Okay. It's just a super expensive way to run your business. So much time is wasted and so much money is wasted. Every day becomes this exhausting digital scavenger hunt. Now, this is the thing that I've discovered over the 2 decades working with agents is that when you were in real estate school, you learned how to stay out of real estate jail. Okay. You can probably recite disclosure requirements in your sleep. But then when they handed you your license, they essentially said, good luck figuring out the other 90% of what you need to succeed. My course should be taught to every single new realtor, how to run a business. And you cannot figure this out by yourself, but it's not your fault, right? It is literally not your fault. Nobody taught you this when you got your real estate license, okay? And the good news is, well, they didn't teach you how to build a streamlined and profitable business. I have figured it out, and we're going to show you exactly how systems need to be fixed in order for get things to be working properly. Okay. Now, I don't know how much anybody knows about me, so I'm just going to quickly tell you about why I'm here talking about how to save money and get back repeat and referral business, which is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've actually been in IT for almost 3 decades. It's actually, yeah, no, it's actually 3 decades, 30 years. I hate saying that now. It sounds so old. But what's happened is I have a very unique knowledge that I don't know anybody else that has this. And what happens is that when technology changed back in the 90s and we had, okay, you ready? You're going to tell me how old everybody is? Does anyone know what a Palm Pilot is? Okay. That was the first device that I actually worked and integrated, how it integrated with contacts, calendars, files and folders, email on network servers when I worked with physicians at the time. And it's a very unique knowledge. So when it was Palm Pilots, then it was Blackberries, and then it was iPhones, and then Androids. And now we've got this big mix of different things and different computers. And I understand how things should be integrated, right? And so for 20 years almost now, I've dedicated myself to helping agents. And really this came about when my husband became an agent back almost 20 years ago. And I was appalled at he was doing. I was like, why do you run your business off a Yahoo email? That's crazy. Then he went and got a brokerage email. I'm like, oh my gosh, why are you doing that? And none of the things dawned on him what he was doing incorrectly, but he was being so inefficient. So what I did is I helped my husband, then found out that it wasn't really just a problem for him, but for every single agent since. Okay. I was on 3 seasons on TV teaching tech tips. I've spoken at hundreds of conferences across North America. Actually, I'm going to be speaking at the NAR one in Houston. If anyone's going to that, please come say hi. That is in November. And I have had thousands of agents go through my program over the last couple decades. And My goal is always to save agents 10 or more hours a week and get back hundreds of thousands of dollars or more in repeat and recurring revenue. Okay. Many other things happen in our journey, but this is the goal. Okay. People get more comfortable with systems and software and devices because you have to use these every day and you really should know how to use them, browsers, everything like that. Okay. So more of Does This Sound Like You? Darcy, my screen isn't showing. Oh my goodness. Everybody, is nobody seeing my screen? I would have thought someone would have mentioned that by now. Can you guys just let me know that you see my screen okay? My assistant Ray is saying he can't see my screen. 15 minutes in, or did it just not?
Oh, earlier it was showing up just now.
Are you guys all okay? You guys can talk. There's only a few of us. I'm okay if people talk. Hello? Nobody's there?
Elizabeth. Yes, I see a picture of you.
Yeah, I
Ah,
can see the picture of you as well.
well, isn't so Zoom, thanks guys. So thanks Ray also. Why is that? Zoom has changed things and we are deciding whether to use their new system, which maybe we won't be doing. Okay, let's try this again. Can you see it?
Yes.
All good now.
Okay, thanks for letting me know. And I don't know why it stopped. I was just talking. Okay, thanks guys. Okay, let's keep going then. If you feel scattered, and disorganized, like you just can't find anything. It's just so frustrating because we really do find it's at least 10 hours a week when you added something somewhere and you can't find it, and it's just really frustrating. If you use multiple cloud storage accounts, like you might have Dropbox, you might have Google Drive, you might be paying for some, you might not be, you might have set up new ones to keep getting more free Dropbox or whatever it might be, or Google Drive, OneDrive, iCloud Drive. That's a problem because I know most people don't really understand cloud storage. And I talk a little bit about that, but that really is a huge thing. Is like, where's my folder or file that I just saved? And a lot of times people don't understand that. We'll talk about that. How many free email addresses you have? We talked about that. If you're using a brokerage email address, that is incredibly bad. I'll talk about that and really want you to understand the reasons for that. If you feel stressed and overwhelmed with all the different types of software options, like some friend of yours says, oh, use this or use this CRM, and then somebody else says, no, use this one, no, use this one. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. What do I do? This is a problem, and we help you solve that problem. If you're relying on your memory, missed appointments, client details, that only works if you've been in the business for maybe a year, maybe two. But after that, there's no way to remember all the little details about everything. Okay. So we know that agents lose business due to data falling through the cracks. And does your disorganization and your system setup make it almost impossible to follow up? Right? We see this just over and over and over and over again. And this is what we see happens. So this is Sarah. She was a client of yours, let's say, who bought a home about 5 or 6 years ago. And she loved you. And she would refer everyone to you if she remembered who you were. So instead of what happened, because some other agent has the systems and tools to keep in touch, she bought a vacation home with another agent. She referred her bestie to somebody else. That's like a dagger, right? Because she forgot that you existed because you didn't keep in touch. Does that sound familiar? Right? That is all about systems. And really, disorganization isn't exhausting. It's literally costing you a fortune. I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well. And this is one of the things I've seen over and over and over again when I'm helping agents is that the client database that you've got, and I don't know how long everybody has been an agent, but if you've been an agent 5, 10, 20, you've got 30, 40, 50, I don't know, 50 years. My oldest clients that I helped were 55 years in the business. They're still going at it. And they always chase new leads. And chasing new leads is a lot more expensive than actually tapping into that gold mine you already have. That makes sense. But what we see is that that gold mine is buried in old emails and spreadsheets and sticky notes and in a folder somewhere. and somewhere on your desk, a physical folder somewhere, and that leaves all those incredible opportunities untapped. Does that make sense? And does that sound like any of you guys? Because if it does, you're in the right spot. If you're juggling multiple digital emails or houses, calendars scattered, random folders, and you break into a cold sweat when you have to go and try and find something. If you feel personally attacked right now, I'm not personally attacking you. I just know what it's like. I know that everybody is like this, and it should not have to be your reality. Okay. So let's talk about how it should be set up. And this is really, really important. One central hub, one house, like one big mansion that holds everything, right? In the terms that I was talking about before, one central hub, not 10 places where your stuff is. And we have got a good other more hour to talk about all this stuff. So save your questions, unmute yourself, ask questions while I'm going through this, please, please, please. One central hub. So what does that mean exactly? It's really all emails in one place to look. No more difference on your phone, on your tablet, somewhere else. Everything is accessible in one place. Your gold mine I just talked about, all your contacts in one place that sync with everything. What do I mean by sync? Because I think that is a word that people get confused about. Ideally, if I added when you're set up properly, okay, that's the key. When your phone is configured properly, your tablet, all the computers, everything you touch is all set up as this one central hub. I can add a contact to my phone, okay? I can then save it. It is then on the contact automatically on my computer, on my other computer, and in my CRM. I can go into the CRM and add a note saying met for coffee on whatever, October 2nd and the year, and then you will see that on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer. That's what I mean by all contacts syncing everywhere in one place. Okay. And the same with calendars. This is a problem that I see with most agents, especially if you're Apple. Now, I'm not saying Apple is bad. Apple is not bad. It is the configuration of the devices that needs to be fixed and the steps followed for everything to be able to sync. But what we see both with contacts and calendar and files and folders, when you have an iPhone, you save things, but you don't know where it's going to. When it should go to that central hub, it sits with Apple. Okay, so if you put a calendar appointment on your phone, can you see that calendar appointment on your computer? Many times the answer is no. And that's a huge problem. Okay. The other thing is, what about client notes? This is incredible to understand this. Again, I mentioned it earlier, but anytime I do this all the time. I might meet someone, I meet so many people, you guys, because I speak at conferences. So I might, recognize a face, but I don't remember what they said. So they might have said that they have a dog named Joe. Well, you know what? I'd add it to that contact. So next time I see them, I can look it up and dog named Joe. That will be on every computer I touch and in the CRM. Okay, because everything can sync and integrate in a central location. One organized file system. You're on your work computer logged in, you save a document, you leave, you open up your phone, you can find that document. You can go back home, you can find that document because everything is in one beautiful place. Okay. One secure spot. This is also what we teach agents. What's interesting is in our program when we help agents, there's times when I've seen people don't understand passwords. So we create a module about passwords because for me, all these things are so simple. I've been doing them for a really long time, sometimes 20 years using a password saver or a CRM or a proper business setup. And we realize that a lot of times passwords are we need to have them all the time because now we have two-factor authentication on a lot when we should enable that. But how do you save your passwords so you can easily find them everywhere instead of spending an hour or half an hour looking through a notebook or a spreadsheet or a contact where that password is? It doesn't have to be that way. The other thing that I didn't put on here, but we added probably a year ago to our program because I found that most agents, when we're working with them, they don't really understand browsers. Yeah, you understand what a browser is, but you don't really understand a browser. And so we created a whole module that is a game changer because we use these things every single day. And shouldn't it be easy to find what you're looking for? Okay. We also look at how do we integrate a CRM into that central hub, right? This would now be like your business's brain, right? Does that make sense? And I've seen this so often, it just drives me crazy. I've seen on social media an agent posting on a forum or on their Facebook page or Instagram saying that they lost their phone and all their contacts. Please DM me. My guess is they didn't, they just don't understand this. Can you imagine how much time you got to re-enter 1,000 contacts because you don't understand how systems work? That is not something that has to happen, okay? So not having a central database is literally like throwing money away. Time and money. And disorganization is costing you because of disjointed systems, switching between apps, not understanding all this. And what I always like agents to think about is how much time is wasted and how that converts to money lost. So how many hours are lost every week? Now, I know I talk about this all the time. And what's the value of your time? I think most agents don't do this, and you should. What is the value of your time? You know, if you said, I spend 80 hours a week working on my business and I make this much a year, you should know what your hourly rate is, okay? So what we say is if you waste 10 hours a week, and it actually should be higher. I think agents make more than $100 an hour, but you can figure this out on what you think your hourly rate is, okay? Most agents is about $100 an hour. That's a $4,000 loss of time a month. That's a lot, right? That's a $48,000 loss of time a year, money you actually worked for, but lost to inefficiency and poor systems, right? Isn't that crazy if you think about that? And I just don't think agents think about how much time is wasted and converted to money, okay? So let's now talk about my favorite topic, probably not yours. I still, after all these 30 years of working with how emails integrate and things work, I still get excited about it. I love emails and I want people to be set up properly, okay? So one professional email. So this has to be set up on the right plan, the right server. It should not be set up on GoDaddy or whatever register you use. And when agents work with us, we explain why, but it really should be set up properly. And the other thing is that once it's set up properly, all your devices also need to be configured. And then and only then can we integrate it properly with a CRM. So I don't know. I don't think we have any questions still, Ray. We're good. You guys are quiet for such a small group. Please, again, ask questions. All right. So why do companies give out free email addresses? That's always a big question. It's like this is what I hear. I do not use this, but people say, well, I've been using my Hotmail account since the 80s, or I've been using my Gmail account since the 2000s, or whatever it might be. You're like, why do they give this out? They give it out to profit from your personal data, right? You have to think about this. Why does anybody give anything for free, right? I offer sometimes free things because I want people to come in and get into our program. There's always a reason that vendors, apps, why are they giving you a free trial? Because they want you to use their app and pay for it, right? They profit from, because email servers are very expensive to run. They have to have IT staff. They have to keep it up to date. They have to have multiple ones so that if one server goes down, your stuff is still there. It's very expensive to run, but why do they give it to you for free? Because of all this other stuff they get. Your information is a valuable product to them to offer other services. Again, they gain valuable marketing insights from your emails. And if you're using a brokerage email, there's many, I talk about this a little bit later, but they make it very difficult for you to use if you're using your free email. That is so bad to use a brokerage email. Okay, so what happens with those free email addresses, they give you a small inbox. There's a whole bunch of issues that I'll talk briefly about today. but it is not good. Okay. These are all kind of the top kind of ones that I see over the years that people use as their email addresses. Gmail, Outlook, GMX, AOL, Hotmail, Yahoo, Zoho sometimes, iCloud, MSN, or your internet provider, which is also bad because they don't specialize in email. What if you move and you've given that out and that's no longer your internet provider or your phone provider, right? They sometimes give out email addresses and then you switch providers and now guess what? That will no longer work. It must be set up properly. And what we see is that agents don't think this through about the free email side of things. Okay. And I want you to really understand what clients might think about you. Okay. And I am never ever saying that you are unprofessional. I'm saying, what is the perception of you? Can it make you appear less credible, less established to clients? And it might signal amateur rather than expert. There's limited storage, forcing you to delete important messages and files and folders to make room, or your inbox becomes so full it doesn't accept emails anymore. Is that any way to run a business? If you legally have to keep emails for so many years for both taxes and legal reasons, but I've seen it so many times that people are going in and deleting emails that they may need to keep. And it's only because you're using these horrible free email addresses, okay? There's zero technical support. If something goes wrong, you're on your own. There's no dedicated support at all. And spam issues. Emails sent from free email addresses are more likely to land in a client's spam folder. And again, so you email someone and they don't get it. And what do email spammers use? They use these free email services, right? This is so, so bad for business. And again, the spammers, they know this. So you will miss deals because for a few reasons. One, does it end up in spam? They never get your emails. But also, if the perception, they're like, I'm not using that agent, and I'll get into that in more details in a minute, right? And lost branding opportunities. Why are you marketing for AOL, Outlook, your brokerage, Gmail, when you should be marketing for yourself, right? Your business, your data. I'm always about the agent owning their own data so that no matter what brokerage you're with, who cares? Give notice, I'm leaving. Now you can go to the other brokerage and you really don't miss a beat. When you're set up a different way, I have had agents crying when they come to me after the fact, okay? But are you unknowingly projecting amateur hour with every email that you send? And I don't mean to be harsh, but the truth is you may not realize you've lost deals because of that, because of your email address. And it does make you look unprofessional. And is it worth risking your credibility and success with a setup like this, right? And I always turn this around flip it around a little bit about, let's say that you had to hire a lawyer and you went and met Joe and Jenny and you liked them both, the same fees, equally personable, kind of like a listing presentation, guys, okay? And then Joe hands his business card over, Joe the Best Lawyer, 1973 at yahoo.com. Okay, number one, how horrible is it that Joe looks like this? It might be discriminating against his year of birth because I might think he's too old or too young. Whether I'm allowed to do that or not, mentally you may think that. And then Jenny hands you her stuff and says, Jenny at Smith Law. Now, what one would you use, you guys? And yet agents think it's different in their business. But you don't know how much business you've lost because of looking like Joe. Does that make sense? Are your clients making the same judgments about you? And I guarantee you they are. All right? Okay. I want you to still understand more on email because I think it's so important to understand. When I talked earlier about what's the average email address that agents have, it's 5. Okay. And I'm talking personal and business because whether you think so or not, they're intertwined. They totally are intertwined. So in this little scenario I've got, we want email 1 is iCloud, email 2 is Gmail, email 3 is Outlook, email 4 is AOL, and then we've got the brokerage email. So email 1 in iCloud, what have we got? We've got email, email folders, contacts, calendar, iCloud storage. Email 2, email, email folders, contacts, calendar, Google Drive. Email 3, email, email folders, contacts, calendars, and because this is Microsoft, we have OneDrive. Email 4, AOL. Email, email folders, contacts, calendars, and maybe cloud storage depending on AOL and how old the account is, maybe none. And then we've got the brokerage email. Again, you've got email, everybody gets email, email folders, contacts, calendar, and however your brokerage is set up, you may or may not have cloud storage attached to that. So do you see why things are so confusing? Did you save that contact, if this is Joe, in the second email contacts? Or did you send it, were you on your iPhone and you saved it to Apple's contacts? And no wonder it's confusing, right? Does that make sense? Is any questions at all, you guys, about anything I am talking about right now? Okay, oh, sorry. I'm trying to find the chat because I've lost it. I don't see the chat.
No questions at the moment, Darcy.
Thank you. And again, feel free to unmute yourself, okay? So thanks, Ray. Now, one of the things, this is one of the key things I see all the time when people set this up incorrectly. And if you want, please DM or email us, do something. We have a free domain course that I created just to help agents because I see this done incorrectly so many times, okay? So a professional email address is your name at yourdomain.com, which you own, right? It shouldn't be your name. It shouldn't be Darcy at darcylarock.com. And in the course, it explains that. I don't want to get sidetracked, but I see this a lot when people set up a domain because they don't know any better or their brokerage said just set up anything. It does matter. So my name is actually a good one to explain. No one can spell Darcy. No one can definitely spell LaRock. So imagine every time I say, oh, go to my website, it's DARC, right? I have to spell it out every single time when I'm talking to people. So that's why our domain is Agent Tech Mastery, right? That is a business website. It also should not be a specific area. So it shouldn't be Darcy at a specific area, like I don't know, whatever, Point Grey or a certain city or something, because people move and you don't think about it. I'll never ever leave. And then you do, right? It's really important to have a more general domain name that is attached to all the central hub that we were talking about. And this is another thing that I've seen so many times. It's worth mentioning. If you do have a domain name, does it work? I cannot tell you how many times people say, so what happens is people, agents will set up an appointment with me. I do a bunch of research to check it out beforehand and I'll go, I want to grab their domain name and go see. And what do I get? It goes to something like this. Come on. Where the site can't be reached. There's nothing there. Now, that might be years that they've never, ever, 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 it never worked. And did they lose clients because of this? Probably, because it looks sloppy, or they might think you're out of business, right? I see this all the time. And so please, if you want to get the course, actually, Ray, maybe you can put the course link, the free domain course link in the chat, and you guys can look at that later. It's a short and sweet course, but it's understanding what a domain name means and what you should be thinking about when you're rebranding or you're branding. All right. Okay. So your business needs a professional email and a central hub. Let's make you look like you run a real business. Again, I'm not trying to be mean, but a lot of these things that how people are set up, it doesn't look like it's a real business. And I've seen this, and maybe not this exact email, but instead of your name at yourdomain.com, it's like fuzzykitten82@hotmail.com, thinking it doesn't matter, and it does matter. All right. So we want to set up the platform with the right plan, the right way, all your devices so that everything syncs and integrates with a CRM as well. Okay. So again, when it's fully integrated across everything you use, your email, your contacts, your calendars, your files and folders, the CRM, All devices should sync with this one central database tied to your branded domain. Okay. And the bonus when this is set up properly, and this is another thing that we help agents with when we're looking at things. Maybe you've set up a proper business email. We look at that, we help agents and we look at that and say, okay. But then what they do is they're paying for, and again, I don't know how you guys are set up, but they're paying for info at and hello at and luxury at all under the domain when it doesn't necessarily, sometimes there's a reason for it, but I have, in all the years I've helped agents, there generally isn't. And they're paying this extra cost when they don't have to. And you want to look professional, you want to build trust, and you want to keep everything connected. Update once and it updates everywhere. So every message, every file, every client detail at your fingertips when you need it, right? No more searching, no more guessing, just total clarity, effortless organization, and that's probably will increase your productivity for sure. Okay. The other last thing I want to talk about email, because this comes up a lot when I'm talking to people about inbox management. Is this you? Like, do you have 60,000 emails in your inbox or 100,000 emails? Or I have seen up to 250,000 emails in an inbox. Like, that is overwhelming, right? It is so overwhelming. It's frustrating and it's overwhelming. So I'm not psychic, but this is literally what happens to most people is that they have this overwhelming inbox and then they spend hours searching for stuff. Where's that listing inquiry from last week? Did I reply to that offer? What was the closing date? Which email was I on too? It wastes your mental capacity. There's missed opportunities in there. And there's the stress of knowing it could be better, right? Because it, as I keep saying, it doesn't have to be this way, but it is for a lot of people. It's just that when you started your business, the foundation of your business is cracked or completely broken, but that's not on you. It really isn't. I don't blame anybody for anything because no one ever taught you how to set up and structure your business properly. And tech changes all the time. So what was available 20 years ago is different from what's available now, right? You were thrown into the deep end, told to swim with technology changing faster than anyone could ever keep up. So I'm just going to talk quickly about one of our grads who went through our program, and she's probably just like you. She was super frustrated with her lack of proper systems and was overwhelmed and skeptical that it could ever be really fixed. She told me she had paid so much money to other people, random one-off people, to fix things, and it never ever got fixed. She never used a CRM. She was using a free email. She actually had a brokerage email too. She was struggling with the decision on which CRM to use because in 20 some odd years, she never really used a CRM and she couldn't find a damn thing. Okay. When I finally talked to her, we had a call that I'll offer to you guys as well. She was fed up and frustrated and overwhelmed. So she also had told me that she had tried Buffini, Tom Ferry, and by far said that our program was the best decision she ever made personally and for her business, hands down. And she finally got everything fixed through our program after 20 years in the business. She has a business she's proud of where everything syncs and the kicker, a working CRM. Okay, a working CRM. And does that feel like any of you guys out there? Okay, do you feel a little bit like, oh my gosh, right? We see this a lot and it's typical. It really is typical. And again, I want to talk quickly about a pro tip. I've talked about this a little bit, but do not use a brokerage email. And I'm going to tell you, if I was a brokerage, I would set this up exactly how they would too. But I am always about the agent. I want you to own your own data. And what I've seen happen, and I'm not kidding you guys, and this is why I never used to talk about this. I felt it and I thought it and I believed it, but I didn't want to offend anyone. I'm tired of not offending anyone. I don't care. Don't use a brokerage email address because I have seen agents. Think about this. I don't care which brokerage it is. You're using whatever brokerage email address, your name at thebrokerage.domain.com. That is not yours. That is not, you cannot you're not the administrator of it. They control it. They can stop paying for it. They can do whatever. It's not yours. But what I typically see is that you're with them for 10 years, and then for whatever reason, life happens, guys. Life happens. I can tell you a personal story. My husband, thank goodness he never used the brokerage email, but had he done this, this would have been a little bit of a nightmare. So he was with Remax for, I can't remember, at least 10 years. Loved Remax. I was shocked when we moved cities and he decided to switch to a different brokerage, a small boutique brokerage. I was shocked. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter because all of Terry's stuff was Terry's stuff. But for any other agent, they're with a brokerage for 10 years and they're like, you know what, I want to try something different. You've given that brokerage email out for 10 years. Your clients have that. All your contacts may be in there. All your calendars are in there. All your files and folders in there. And of course, all your emails are in there. As soon as you give notice, they stop access. Your clients email that. If they're smart, they're going to forward it to another agent. Okay. You literally lose your data. And I just saw someone, I'm in the exact position, I'm drowning in clutter and confusion. Yeah, well, you please book a call. I'll give you guys that opportunity in a minute. And you know what? We have such a small group at the end of this. I'll just open it up. You can turn on your cameras and we can chat. I'm happy to do that. Okay. Another issue that I see a lot is somebody using a team email. So let's say you join a team and the team says, I'll use Terry's for an example. So Terry's email domain is okanaganvalley.homes. Okay. So Terry's building a team and he says, Darcy, come join me. Okay. So I'm now Darcy at okanaganvalley.homes. I'm with the team for 5 years. Then I want to go out on my own. Same problem with the brokerage. Who owns the email? I don't. Terry does. So what comes with an email, guys? All the emails, all the email folders, contacts, calendar, all the files and folders that's attached to that email address. Everything gone. Okay. Serious problem. The other thing I want to talk about is a brokerage CRM. This it still makes me sick when I talk about this, and I've been talking about this for years, because agents don't think it through. They think, oh, isn't that nice of a brokerage to offer me tools? And yes, there are some great tools, like a website is fine because that's easily fixed if you ever left. But what I see with a brokerage CRM is you're with a brokerage again for 10 years. And let's say you were a great agent and you use their CRM and you create all the drip campaigns and email blasts and birthday reminders or whatever inside the brokerage CRM. Now you switch brokerages. 99% of the time, you can't take all of the information. The one thing that will probably export is the contacts. But if you're set up properly, who cares? Your contacts are already in that central hub. But that's how people aren't set up properly. It's standalone, separate. Does that make sense to everybody? I cannot stress these 3 problems I see all the damn time. And if you ever left, you shouldn't be handcuffed to a brokerage because of using certain tools. Okay. All right. Number 3, central hub for all files and folders. This is again what I talk about all the time because I see this consistently, is that agents have a bit of everything for their files and folders, not email. I'm talking about your files and your documents, your photos, all that fun stuff. Okay. I see people use Dropbox and then iCloud and then Google Drive and OneDrive or maybe something's just sitting locally on that computer. And I want you to think about, if your computer dies right now, do you care? Or is all your stuff good? You know where all your stuff is. Most of the time people think, oh, I never thought about that. Oh, what happens to my stuff? Well, it depends. When we look at how you're set up, I can tell you your situation. But seriously, if you don't know where your stuff is, or you don't know if it's backed up, or you don't know if it's cloud-based, you don't know how to access it, that's a problem, right? This is such a problem. This is one of the key things when again, 20 years ago, when I was helping Terry, he came back to the office to get a file on his computer. And I was like, why are you doing that? It should be on your phone. He's like, no, I don't think so. That's where I'm like, well, it should be. So then I started looking at how he was set up and fixed it all. And honestly, it was life-changing for him and everybody else that we've helped. And we don't want you to be wondering when your computer dies, because computers crash, what happens? Do all your critical files disappear? Because we say, I'm always about personal and business. It's all the same, right? We want to keep our personal files safe, personal things safe, client contacts, transaction documents, photos. Is your stuff okay? And how would you feel if it's gone, right? Critical files gone. I talked about this in other presentations if you've heard me, but because people always say, oh, well, Macs never die, and that is not true. Macs die. I had a guy who came to me after the fact because if he's been set up properly, he wouldn't have to spend $10,000 to send his hard drive to what we call a hard drive specialist. They're called hard drive forensic specialists to recover lost data. Like he literally lost everything. I think if I remember correctly, he got about 25% of his files back. But if he'd been set up properly to start with, he wouldn't have had to spend that $10,000. Okay. The other thing, again, I'm not psychic, but if this is you, how do you find anything? Right? This is what I see over and over and over again. And it's not your fault. You just don't understand how computers, whether it's a Mac or a Windows computer, how they're set up is for you to just go save stuff, but you don't understand where you're really saving things and how to access this beautiful chaotic spot here on your phone. It's possible, but most people just don't understand this. And again, if you're saving things on your desktop and your desktop looks like this and you can't find stuff, I want you to understand this. So what happens is that on every computer there's a profile, right? So you have a profile that you log into and it pulls up whatever you normally have on your startup of your computer. And one of the things that is part of that profile is your desktop. So in this scenario, all of these folders that are probably enormous because they've got files and they might be subfolders, have to come up every single time that you start your computer. That is not a good way to run your computer. It might be slowing your computer down. And this is what we help agents with. This is a part of what we help agents with because we know it's frustrating. Because what we don't want is your computer to die and you've realized that you've lost, years of documents, personal. I've had some horrible stories that people come to me after the fact, and it makes me really sad. I mean, I can do what I can do, but I can't, fix things that were incorrectly set up to start with. But I've had someone who saved all her dad's photos on her computer on the desktop, and then her dad passed away, and she wanted to get the photos, and the computer died, and they're gone. If it was backed up properly, that would never, ever, ever be a problem. There's been a lot of sad stories I've seen with client data, and it makes me really sad. So we don't want you to be like that, okay? So not a good way to run your business when your files and folders, you're using different cloud storage systems. They're not understanding them properly, okay? All right, we're gonna go on to step 4. You ready? The big one. CRM does stand for can't rely on memory, right? It is, you shouldn't rely on your memory to keep in touch with clients. Unless you're first year in the business, then it's easy for if you're only doing a couple deals, but it doesn't work. I've seen this so many times. I'm just talking about my years of experience is I've seen agents pay for a CRM but not using it because it literally it's the same thing over and over again. Is what they say is I'm going to do it next week, next month, next year. And then you're continually paying for something like a gym membership and never really using it. I literally have a client that I'm working with now who, again, this makes me so sad, but we figured out that he'd been paying for a CRM for 10 years. He never used it. The only thing he did was import his contact and never ever used it. Import his contacts, sorry, which again is a red flag for me when he said import, because if it syncs properly, there's no need to import. He paid $31,000 to the air to the company, not for himself to be managing his clients, okay? Using a brokerage CRM, that I've just talked about that. You don't own it. You don't have control over it. It is not yours. Please think about this before you start using a brokerage CRM. What I do tell people is that if you're getting leads from a brokerage CRM, awesome. Let it run through the process. You should understand the process that those people are running through. But when the lead becomes an actual good lead, you're talking to them, you bring them to your CRM. So if you ever leave the brokerage, who cares about those crappy leads, right? Your good leads you've got, right? Trying 4 or more CRMs, it's just, I see this all the time when I talk to agents. What CRM have you used? Oh, I've tried Top Producer, I've tried Exact, I've tried KB Core, I've tried, oh my God, there's so many of them. And I'll say, well, what are you using? Well, nothing. It's your systems that need to be fixed before you start using a CRM. That generally is the problem. But then the overwhelm on the CRM side is that, what do I do first? Well, we teach agents what to do first: money making. Okay, that's the key, money making stuff. I see people using a spreadsheet. It's not a CRM. A spreadsheet is not a CRM. You can miss things on a spreadsheet. Okay, it's better than nothing. All of this is better than nothing, I guess. But we also want you to see a standalone CRM is different. Okay, we want it to integrate with your contacts, which not all of them do. I don't know, you guys don't like to play this game, so I don't know what you guys use. Again, they're anonymous. If you want to, just scan the QR code. And these are the kind of what we see agents do. Again, there's such a small group today. What I see is just very consistent that people have a CRM but don't use it. A CRM is a money-making tool that is incredible for your business that you should be using. And it shouldn't be overwhelming for you, okay? And let's talk a little bit about numbers with CRMs. This is another thing that I've talked about is know your numbers and don't be blind to your numbers. How many deals have you lost that you know about? Because we don't know ones we don't know about, but you can probably add a couple to this. But rough numbers about that. Most agents don't track, right? How many deals have slipped through your fingers? How many clients that you haven't been keeping in touch with used another agent? So I'm going to use a number that I got from Jared James. If you guys know him, he's a real estate sales coach. I was shared the stage with him. Oh gosh, it's been a few years now. So this number's probably increased. I actually think the number's higher, but I'm going to go with his number. So if you've lost one client, that value is a lifetime value of $117,000 of money you won't ever make, because they'll never use you to buy and sell. They won't refer you to their friends and family and colleagues, and you won't get any repeat and referral business from them. So that's a cost of $117,000. But what we've seen is agents who've been in the business for at least 10 years or more have lost about 20 clients or more from systems and lack of follow-up. And that's $2.34 million. That's staggering, right? But most agents don't think about this. If you've lost one deal, it's worth it to fix your systems to get your sanity back. But most agents lose more than this, okay? Now, I always get this question when I'm talking about CRMs. What CRM to use, Darcy? Tell me, tell me, tell me. And here's the deal, okay? The truth is that the best CRM really depends on your unique needs, how you set your business up right now, how many email addresses you have, how many files and folders you have, how many contacts, where's that gold. CRMs aren't a one size fits all. What works for one person may not work for somebody else. And really, really important is that I need to know about you. Why didn't you like Top Producer or Exact or KB Core or whatever? What features are important to you? Is it the syncing, automation, lead tracking, reporting? What some people say, I must have a website with my CRM, because you don't have to. You can have a separate website. You can have a website with your brokerage, or you might have a website, a CRM company that offers a website included in it. If that's important to you, then that's something that would be on the list. And again, I always want to know about what CRMs you've used and what you didn't like about them. But I can tell you what I hear all the time when I ask people, like, well, I didn't really use it. I've never used it. I just put my contacts in there. Well, why? You're wasting your money, like that $31,000 loss of that client I recently had. Okay. Once I understand details, then I can guide you towards the best option. Some people love the current CRM they're using, but it doesn't sync properly. Well, and they're okay with that, but they want everything else to be fixed. That's fine. Okay. So I really want you to understand that, because asking me which software is best is kind of like saying, hey, Darcy, what car should I get? And I say, oh, go get a Jag, right? If I was a car salesman. No, I wouldn't say that. I want to know your budget, your wants, your needs. Do you have kids? How far are you driving? Is it a second car? Is it for business? And 20 other questions to narrow down what kind of car you should get. That's why I hate it when I see on forums when agents say, what's the best CRM? I literally cringe when I see that, because you're going to get a whole bunch of answers and you don't even know if any of these people actually use the CRM. Oh, I really like whatever, Follow Up Boss, but Follow Up Boss doesn't sync. I really like Top Producer, but they don't have it set up properly and they're not actually doing anything inside it. It's so important to understand that, okay? All right, recap is one central hub for everything, right? One professionally branded email address set up on the right server, the right plan, with all your stuff talking to it properly. One cloud storage for all your files and folders, documents, pics, PDF, personal and business, and if possible, a CRM that integrates with everything we just talked about. And I always kind of joke about this slide here, because I don't know how old everybody is because I don't see your lovely faces, but this is a rotary phone. If you're really young, you don't know what a rotary phone is. We can't text, we couldn't take pictures, there's no apps. But is anybody still using this for your business? Of course not, right? You'd be laughed out of real estate. I have to go back and phone someone at home because I got to go use my rotary phone. Yet many of you have your business system set up from like the 80s, maybe the 90s, even the 2000s, with all this outdated and inefficient and what I'd like to call ancient technology. And where you may probably have the latest iPhone or Android or Pixel right now, spending $2,000, $2,500, but you're running a multi-million-dollar business like it's 1985. You have the latest phone, maybe the latest tablet, maybe even the latest computer, but none of them are integrated. There's no central hub, and it's a constant marathon for you trying to figure all this out, okay? Your $2,000 smartphone deserves better, and so does your business, where we can again have everything sync and everything integrated. So no matter where you update anything, it updates everywhere. Okay, that makes sense. Have I scared everybody? Just with your business setup, like I can look into your current setup and that's how you are, because really that's how everybody is. And let me tell you how we can help you. And then I'm just going to open it up for questions. I'll just stop the slides and we can just sit and chat. We've got some time. Um, you can book a free consult with us. You'll get my 30 years of experience of tech and integration and see what you've cobbled together over however many years you've been an agent. If you're a fit for our program, I will let you know. If you're not, I will let you know. Okay, I don't want to work with everybody, and not everybody is coachable and wants to change their stuff, right? So if we are a good fit, I'll let you know. And this is really, really important as well. So Ray, can you put this link in the chat so everybody, well, I think we send this off after as well. But what is really serious about this is that I only help so many agents at a time. And I do not want to help anybody unless they're serious about fixing their chaos that they've inadvertently created. They're willing to invest to make it happen, and that they're coachable. So if you're not any of that, don't even book a call, okay? Because it's not worth it. If you are, then I do want to talk to you, because not everybody's a good fit for my program, but we'll talk about that. So what happens is you book an appointment, you'll fill out a form. What happens before is, I think there's about 10 questions on the form. It literally is, how many email addresses do you have? What cloud storage do you have? Do you use a CRM? And then I'm going to do a little research on you before we meet. And then I'm going to ask you specific questions about, can I help you? Maybe, maybe not. It just depends. Okay. So I think the only other thing I was going to put down, we'll talk about questions. I have some slots open tomorrow and then some slots open next week as well. I'm going away to speak at a conference, but I think you'll probably be able to get time to book. But if you can't, you can always email us back and we'll get on the phone. My assistant Ray can figure out a time to chat with you. Okay. So I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to put my video back on. And if you guys have any questions, please ask them now. Or if you know, you just book a call. I will review everything and we'll chat. It's a 45-minute chat where we're going to literally talk through, do you have a business email? And if you do, is it a brokerage one? Is it one you own? Do you have a domain? How many email addresses do you have? What computers you have? And I need to know all that to see how big of a mess it is and if we can help you. What CRMs you use, if you don't use one, are they on a spreadsheet? Because really what we help agents in our program is 8-week committed program to help you. In 8 weeks, you're going to have a fully functioning central hub with a CRM that you can actually feel proud of to use and communicate with your clients. Is there any questions from anybody? If you don't want to, unmute yourself and talk, you can chat and I'll look at the chat. But take advantage of this while I'm here if you have any questions, or book a call and we can talk when we meet. Okay? Any questions? Let me just look. I don't think there is. You guys are quiet group. Let me just see. All good. Okay. And don't forget, actually, Ray, can you make sure that you give them the domain, I give a free course on domains. And maybe, you know what? I'm just going to show you guys that while you guys are quiet. Let me just show you, because it's a cool course, I think. That screen 2. So this is really for anybody. I mean, if people are working with us, we want you to look at this too, and then we do things for you because you're working with us. But really what it is, let me just go back up here. It talks about why you need a domain. If you don't have a domain name, you guys, you need one. Setting up an email with that domain, where to buy a domain, things to consider when you're purchasing a domain. So a domain is a website. You have to buy it from a registrar, and GoDaddy's the most popular. You buy your name from a registrar, and then that's it. So now nothing happens. So now you have to take that. So I'll use me for an example, agenttechmastery.com. I went and searched, I found it, I paid for it. But it's not a website yet. It's not an email address yet. It's just that I have the rights to use it. And this is what this course explains. Then now that I own agenttechmastery.com, I can set it up on a real estate website hosting company. I can direct it to my brokerage profile. I could set it up on, I don't recommend this, and I talk about this, I think, in this program, if not when we work together, is, WordPress offers it. There's Wix, there's other kind of websites you can use, but I don't recommend that. I recommend a true real estate easy for me to say, real estate website hosting company, or your brokerage profile. That's fine too. Just depends on what you want, but it has to go somewhere. Okay? Because when the email is set up with a properly configured business email, set up and configured everywhere correctly, we want the domain to work so they know you're a real person, and we want the email set up properly as well. Does that make sense? So there's kind of three steps involved in purchasing a domain. But then what we also go inside here is, should you use your name in a domain? What other options do you have when looking at buying a domain name and doing this process? Okay, so Ray will add this to the follow-up email so you guys can have access to this as well. Okay, it's an awesome little course that we created. We just wanted to help more people about that. Okay. Costs, there's no cost to chat. And again, if we talk and I can help you, I'll let you know what the investment is. I always give people a deal the very first time I talk to them. After we talk to them, usually what I literally someone just joined me last week again. I talked to them 2 years ago. They were in a mess. I can't tell you, like a huge mess. And they didn't take me up on joining. And then she came back and said, I can't live like this anymore. My stuff is so messed up. And so she's joined at the full retail price. So it is what it is. We want people to take action to come in and get their stuff fixed. You guys, if you haven't already look at all our testimonials, agenttechmastery.com, Client Love. We have so many testimonials of agents just like you that have gone through our course. There's written testimonials, there's video testimonials saying how incredible it is and how much it's changed their life. Okay, so go look at that as well. And oh, thanks, Ray. Ray's just put that up on the chat. And I hope you book, but we'll send everything to you. You'll get the recording within the next, I don't know, Ray, when's that go out?
Most
I think
likely tomorrow afternoon.
Most
yeah.
likely tomorrow, yeah. So we'll send off the recording. You can rewatch this with the links. I think in this new way that Zoom does it, I think we can include the links as well. And I hope I get to see you at our private one-on-one where I can actually review your specific setup and see if we can help you. Okay? Any questions?
No, I'll be in touch.
Oh, good, Judy. I'm happy. I'm happy to hear that. Can't wait to do that. Anybody, again, book an appointment. You have nothing to lose to book an appointment, and we can see if we can help you. Because, like I said, 20 years doing this, 5 email addresses, the general thing that agents have. They're scattered on their files and folders. They don't really understand all this stuff. They're not using a CRM and they're just frustrated. And we help all that. Go check out the testimonials. We'll send it all off, and I can't wait to talk to you guys live one-on-one. Okay? Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.